Joining us tonight, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. Tom, good to have you with us. Let me get first your reaction to these developments. The special counsel deciding to accept written answers to written questions.
Well, this should have been his the first thing he offered if he was interested in getting information from President Trump. It's not atypical to have a high-level government official submit written answers in response to questions, especially a president who has other things to do. So this is a major stand down from where Mr. Mueller was before, evidently. But, you know, in the end, I wouldn't cooperate if I were President Trump. I think Mr. Mueller is looking for an impeachment report that he can present to Congress through Rod Rosenstein, and Mr. Trump shouldn't participate in his own hanging.
So you're saying that he shouldn't even give accept written questions and offer
answer on Russia collusion? This special counsel knows there's no Russia collusion. At this point, it's just harassment.
Well, that's an interesting way to look at it. And you have also, you and Judicial Watch have, thanks to your good offices and efforts, we know now that there have been no hearings held by the FISA courts before issuing warrants, particularly in the case on Page. What is going on here? Why is none of this being investigated? Why is it not, and frankly, why is the president not releasing, ordering the release of this and declassifying all of that paperwork and putting it in front of the American people and this special counsel so we can get a little clear picture on who Robert Mueller really is?
Well, we know the FISA court process isn't working. You had the government gaming the system, the Justice Department and the FBI lying to the courts by withholding material information, the courts not giving a rat's tail in terms of holding the government to account, and just blithely approving warrants targeting the sitting president of the United States. I mean, how's that one way? How's that appropriate under our rule of law system?
Well, I don't think it's, I don't even, to be honest with you, Tom, I mean, I don't think that there's any question about propriety here. This is about a vicious attack on a sitting president, a conspiracy among the FBI's top echelon, and by the way, across all departments, as well as the Department of Justice, and, you know, who knows what else within the federal government, and certainly the Democratic National Committee and the Hillary Clinton campaign. And we're watching this proceed.
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And the point you're making about releasing the documents, so the record is the FOIA application warrant, the warrants. Only part of them have been released to Judicial Watch. There are other pages that can be declassified, which the president needs to do, because that's the record. There's no hearing, so there's no record of the court talking to the Justice Department in an official way. So the court made a decision based on a document. And we only have part of the document. We know the part we have shows dishonesty, the Clinton DNC dossier, the omissions about Steele's relationships with Orr and things like that. What else is the Justice Department hiding from us that they lied to the courts about? The president should declassify that to expose the corruption.
Is the president, in your judgment, being told by his attorneys not to declassify?
I think the deep state is telling him not to declassify. My instinct is he's going to declassify additional materials, because what we have now is a result of his earlier declassification decisions, which overruled the deep state. He'll do it again, I trust.
It's difficult, I think, for most people to appreciate what we are witnessing in the confirmation hearings of Judge Brett Kavanaugh. What we watched today in an admitted coordinated attack on Republicans on that committee, on the committee itself, by the Dems. This is the ugliest display, and I include the Bork debacle. This is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. It had nothing to do with the constitutional responsibility, with the national interest. This was a group of leftists attacking the Senate Judiciary Committee, its rules, its Republican members, and the nation. It was awful.
I said that there's an air of violence, intimidation, and lawlessness. And the fact you had all those three elements at a hearing for a Supreme Court justice nomination shows you the left has a fundamental dislike for the rule of law in the U.S. Constitution. Those protesters weren't protesting. They were engaging in illegal activity, disrupting a lawful hearing. And those arrests were not peaceful arrests. They were resisting arrest, it looks like, if you look at the videos, assuming the media is going to cover this. That was an awful situation, and that disruption was against the law. People are facing jail time as a result went on at a Supreme Court nomination hearing.
There was a peculiar moment. Senator Orrin Hatch delivering his statement. As he is being shouted down by those demonstrators, he turns to Senator Grassley and says, can we get rid of this loudmouth? And Grassley replies that, effectively, that he's not going to do anything urgently, and reminds the senator that they agreed to go on and to allow the police to do their job. I mean, I cannot.
I'd recommend, if it happens again tomorrow, Grassley clear the room of the public. Have the media cover it. But if the left-wing activists are going to use access,
who the heck is in the room and their reason for being in the room, couldn't we start there? I mean, just like people with those silly costumes walking in. I mean, under what pretense could one admit them to an important hearing for a Supreme Court nominee? It just makes no sense to me. The Republicans act like it's a game of cricket, while the left are leading full-on frontal assaults against everything that we consider to be proper government and governance.
Well, you see what they were trying to delay. You saw the hearing as it progressed. You had Republican conservative senators making some good arguments in favor of having someone who believes in the Constitution be put on the court, as opposed to having another politician put on the court who wants to make the law
I don't think it's in
apply
question. I don't think Kavanaugh's credentials are in question by any rational human being, irrespective of party. So what we're talking about are vicious assaults by fools on the left that have got to stop and be stopped by an animated, energetic, and committed GOP, not innervated and reluctant to actually stand up for law and order. An extraordinary and disgusting display to me on the part of the chairman, as well as the Dems. It shouldn't happen again.
I agree. Senator Grassley should take stronger steps to maintain the rule of law down tomorrow if the hearing progresses the way it did today.
Absolutely appalling. Tom Fitton, as usual, great work. Great to have you with us.
You're welcome.
Up next, the